Hello, hello, hello. Crime on a Tuesday night. What is going on, everybody? I hope you had a good weekend. I had a great Sunday. Let's not talk about Monday, okay? Like, I don't do Monday. We all know that, right? I don't do Monday. Monday always does me wrong. Like, I'm not feeling Mondays ever. Like, that's either second Sunday or the prelude to Tuesday. Like, that's it. Like, I skip it. I skip Monday. But yeah, I gotta tell you, I fell down a rabbit hole this Monday. Like, I got some stuff coming up that you guys hopefully are going to love. Because man, oh man. Hey, thank you, Vic. Like, because I forgot. Of course I did, right? Of course I did. Like, I remembered to pin the bingo card and I forgot the banner because I just can't YouTube. I've been out here for years and I still can't YouTube. Like, what's wrong with me, Beck? Anybody? Oh, hey, Couch. How you doing? So anyway, do you like that music, Purple? Purple Dragon Shill. I'm trying to get used to your new name, Shill, but that's courtesy of it's a collaboration between the videography of Mocking Media and a new song written just for the intro by MC Record. Draga Record wrote that and copyrighted it for the channel. It is amazing. And that's um my issue with that third party that kept trying to say that my intro sounded like something did something. And so they kept trying to claim all the videos. And it kind of solved that issue and actually just made it 100% better. Not 100% better because everybody, we loved the Mocking Media video the way it was and the music that he used, but it just got to be very cumbersome to fight every single time I used it. I had to fight. And I won every time, but it's really tedious to put the claims in and wait 30 days and then wait another 45 days for your analytics to look good. Hey, Cheryl, good to see you. Very good to see you. But yeah, so do you guys want to get started? Because I got a lot tonight. We've got 4 cases. If you've been, you guys are all true crime buffies, so you know what's been going on. We know that Karen Reed got a mistrial. Okay, but there's been some movement and some filings and some shaking up over there that I want to just go over. We also know that Alec Baldwin in the Rust case, in the manslaughter case or the death of Helena Hutchins on the Rust set, Alec Baldwin's case was dismissed with prejudice, and we're going to go over that. We also got some movement, well, very slow movement, but some things to report in Leah Remini's case with Scientology. And last but not least, we had a hearing today in Romania for the Tate brothers. We also got a case in the UK going on with them that I want to update you with, But before that, I just want to tell you that, Mousy, I'm glad you got your power back. But while you were in the dark, I was down a rabbit hole. In that rabbit hole, I'm going to tell you, it was in regards to baby reindeer. Yeah, you didn't mishear me. I actually said baby reindeer. Now that was a rabbit hole. I should have thought twice, but now I'm in it. I'm in it with baby reindeer, and there's a legal case going on. And and just listen, I've been getting a lot of DMs, a lot of messages, and I want to tell you guys, I am fully aware that Logan Paul is trying to sue CoffeeZilla. But I thought I'd be prudent since, I knew about it the night it filed, and I was looking at it. And y'all know I don't do video very well. I could have jumped on it and put out a video about it, whatever. But I don't do video, And I really wanted to wait until CoffeeZilla responds. And he hasn't yet, as far as legally. So I would like to do that because, well, Logan Paul is like, let's just say legally, he's a bit of a joke. I gotta, reading his filing was amusing. And I really want to wait for the CoffeeZilla response before I do anything on that, because I think it's more balanced that way. That I can tell you both sides of it instead of just like, oh, this got filed, you know. And there's also rumors that P Diddy is going to be facing criminal charges. Like the investigation seems to be heating up. It looks like they're dotting the I's and crossing the their T's, you know, as far as the federal government in these charges. And I'm just waiting to see what drops, if anything. You know, it's all rumor and speculation at this point, until something files. But as I told Mrs. Cassandra, who asks me repeatedly, you know, about those cases since the civil suits started dropping, I told her if it went criminal, we would cover it. And that's where we are. So that is where we are in regards to updates on other things. But for now, let us talk first about Alec Baldwin. Okay. Alec Baldwin had his case dismissed on Friday. And it was very emotional as the judge was reading. This is a picture that was snapped as the judge was reading her ruling. I have plenty of links to all of this below. There are some things we want to talk about that I want you guys to check out the links in regards to full statements and to hear it for yourself. Okay. Well, I chose not to make this a 5-hour true crime and legal update segment. So I'm not going to be playing like the full statements and the full hearing or anything like that. But I have linked the heck out of things down below for you. So please, you know, go on with me and check that all out. As we cover little things, I will definitely be pulling up a link here and there for you to check out, you know. Oh, I'm sorry, Couch. I haven't gone into it or anything, so I didn't do anything to the to the thing. I don't even know how to change anything in there. So I don't know what's going on with the bingo card, but still, no matter what they look like, we accept them if anybody wants to play. Mousy, you are absolutely correct. There is a rabbit hole for sure about baby reindeer. Okay. Mm. P. Diddy can face charges, but not Trump. You know, I hear that. Like that immunity thing, we're gonna cover that at a later date. Like this is my thing. I mean, I hope I don't frustrate too, you know, you guys. And if I do, well, I can only be me. But here's how I like to do it. While everybody is fighting out there and they're all so emotional, I do not want to engage in it. Okay, I want to actually look at all the pieces. I want to see everything that plays out. I know there was the ruling. I know that the Mar-a-Lago case got tossed. You know, I know that that's going to go under appeal. These things take time. And I do like to get a better look at the whole picture. I don't like to look into the looking glass, so to speak, and get that swirly view. You know, I want to wait until everything gets into focus and get everything from both sides the best that I can and get the best picture of about what's going on. Like you guys know, I'm not one of those like hop on it, like do the hashtag and like get it like on that second kind of thing. And I think you guys are into it too, you know. Oh, Liz, how are you? Are you in a dream? I hope not. You're here. It's good to see you. I see you, you know. Anyway, there we go. Alec Baldwin, very emotional. We all know that that has been dismissed with prejudice. Okay, which means it can't be filed again. Well, let me get on with the presentation here. First off, the first thing you need to know is that the special prosecutor who had joined the team in just this April, Erlinda Johnson, who, by the way, gave excellent opening statements. She has been praised all over LawTube for the way she presented the case, how clear she spoke, how commanding she was, how convincing. Excellent attorney, excellent addition to the prosecution teams. Okay. However, Friday, she resigned from the case before it was dismissed. Her statements have made it clear that she was pushing for the district attorney to dismiss the charges in light of undisclosed evidence. And when that didn't happen, she resigned prior to what happened on Friday, which was the Brady hearing. Okay. In a Brady hearing is in regards to like evidence. We all, if you were watching the trial, you saw Judge even looked at the evidence herself. It became clear when they were talking to investigator Popple, or you know, the the analyst, that there was evidence that had not been tested. And it came to light, like, why? And then the defense is like, what evidence that hadn't been tested? We don't know about anything like this. It became a whole big thing. Okay. During the break, after it was discovered, it was said Carrie Morrissey, who is the district attorney who was hired last March in 2023 to lead up these charges against Alec Baldwin and to present the case, had said that she had seen a picture of it. Apparently, it comes all the way back to evidence that was brought forward during Hannah Gutierrez's trial. Troy Kels, who actually was a friend or associate of Hannah Gutierrez's stepfather, Theo Reed, who was the very famous armorer that has been talked about a lot in these cases. He had come during that trial and brought some ammunition, live ammunition, that he had that may have come from PDQ, which was Seth Kinney's organization or whatever. But Morrissey had said that she saw a picture of it and it didn't look anything like it. Defense said, well, that's not up to you to say, this judge got off the bench, put on gloves, and opened that envelope. And when she saw the actual bullets that they were talking about, she said, they look so similar to what you already have in the evidence. How could you say, you weren't going to test them or you weren't going to disclose them to anybody? And a whole Brady hearing had to happen because, then the defense, well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Anyway, let's get back to Erlinda. This woman had a lot of integrity. She said, if you don't disclose evidence, apparently this evidence was not disclosed to the defense and it was not tested. They received it during the Hannah Gutierrez trial. It was actually brought through. It came to light that there were multiple conversations about this evidence. They were trying to get it in. Carrie Morrison was talking to people about, making arrangements to get it in. She was, this guy had come forward. He is an ex-officer of the law, and he knew that he needed to bring this evidence in, and they were just trying to make arrangements. Calls weren't, there was calls being missed and missed opportunity, whatever. But they got it during the Hannah Gutierrez trial. It became physically available to them. Okay. Long story short, it gets picked up by the analyst Popel. It gets put under a different case number. Okay. And after that, it was a clown show of events that it just never got disclosed to the defense. Popel actually wrote a report on it that never got submitted to the defense, although that report is actually available to the prosecution. Nightmare. What I want to say is that Erlinda Johnson did the right thing. She was advocating that this has happened. This is a fatal flaw in the case. This is not how justice is served. You have to be just as fair to the defendant as you are the plaintiff. Even though we're the prosecution, it's up to us to uphold the standard. She said we need to drop the charges. There shouldn't even be a Brady hearing on this. Okay, but Carrie Morrissey advocated that she wanted the truth to come out. She wanted to advocate why things happened the way. In other words, she wanted to try to clean it up. But there's no way to clean up that you did not give the evidence to the defense. And it gets worse. It does. If you can imagine. Okay. Anyway, after we didn't even know that Erlinda Johnson had actually resigned, because what she did is she left the courtroom on Friday morning after they had their little tete-a-tete before. They come back from lunch. They're going to have the hearing. She goes up to the judge. They whisper. She leaves the courtroom. At that point, we didn't know that she had resigned from the case, that she had over this disagreement in regards to dropping the charges that the prosecution had in a meeting before they came back into the court on Friday. Okay. And also, defense attorney had opened up Friday. Luke Nickus, who has the picture here, I hope I said his name right, he made a motion to dismiss, claiming the state had violated the Brady rule, which requires prosecution to disclose material, exculpatory information in the government's possession to the defense. Okay. This is absolutely mandatory. Okay. You don't get to pick and choose. If there's evidence, you need to disclose it to the defense. Everybody has the same stuff. There's discovery. There's this. I mean, things happen last minute. Hannah Gutierrez's trial was a while ago. They had plenty of time. Okay. Well, right now, I agree with you, Mousy. Things in the courts are looking a little bit shady, and this whole episode is going to be addressing that because it just happened in every single case we're going to talk about, in every single one. Okay. So anyway, he did the right thing. Like, he filed his motion. He wants the whole thing tossed. The judge then looks at the evidence and says, you're right. Like this, obviously, there's no reason why you should have just ignored this. That does look very similar to the other bullets that you have in evidence. And the whole issue surrounds on whether or not they came from the same source, on whether or not they were set up, on whether or not that live ammunition, was put there by someone other than Hannah Gutierrez or someone else. I mean, it wasn't really up to the prosecution to decide what the defense should have. And that kind of comes to light. And this is where it gets a little ouch. Ouch. Hey, Mrs. C. Carrie Morrissey put herself on the stand amongst clear disapproval of the judge. If anybody was watching, the judge clearly said, Miss Morrissey, no one here is asking you to take the stand. The defense isn't, and I'm not. And she said she wanted to explain the circumstances, stating the information needed to be public. Okay, I understand she wanted to defend herself, but this wasn't a good look. Okay, because it really just sounded like she was making excuses. And the more she talked about it, we discovered that there was a report that didn't get submitted, that she actually said the evidence had no value to the state or the defense. But here's the problem. The prosecution doesn't get to make decisions for the defense on what evidence or how they're going to present cases or what's pertinent to them. She does not get to exclude evidence based on the fact that she feels it has no value to the defense. This was crossing the line. She doesn't get to go there. This was what Orlando Johnson, what Miss Johnson had an issue with. I don't blame her. The DA in New Mexico is backing Carrie Morrissey, saying, like, she did the best she could. She was dealing with circumstances like beyond her control, this, that, the other thing. But her choice of words. Now, I will say, Carrie Morrissey is tough DA. She commanded that courtroom. LawTube was all over, like, the defense had to be a little bit ruffled because when she speaks, like, she interrupts, she objects, she gets right on it. She's like, no. Like, she's very commanding. And Orlando Johnson was very convincing. The prosecution laid out a best case. They flew in the gun manufacturer from Italy to testify on the stand that there's no way that gun could have gone off unless you pulled the trigger. This actually went across the defense saying that because the FBI destroyed the gun in their testing, there's no way for us to prove it couldn't have gone off. I mean, it actually supported and collaborated the testimony of all the FBI's technicians who tested that gun, the firearms specialist who also reported on that gun. They said it could not have gone off, and directly went in the face of Alec Baldwin's statement that he did not pull that trigger. Okay, they were doing a bang up job. And then this was not justice. I mean, this is justice, because as the judge had said, there's no way to right this wrong except for to throw it out. You have stepped so far over the line on being unfair to the defense's side that this isn't a fair trial. This was horrendous. Horrendous, She just kept digging, right, Mrs. Sandra, where you're watching? She just dug herself in that hole. It was not a good look. She was just so upset about the thing, and she put herself on the stand. I think they should have took their lumps and walked in, in pulling it all together for justice. Now, some will say that's not justice for Helena Hutchins or her family or anyone who was victimized in this shooting. Okay, it's manslaughter. It wasn't intentional murder. We all get that. But the lack of accountability, the way the set was run, like all of this stuff. I mean, they were doing a bang up job, even though the fact that Alex Alec Baldwin was a producer on the set could not actually be brought up in this trial because it was too prejudicial, according to the judge. And it didn't relate to whether or not he pulled the trigger and did what he did, that he was an actor at the time. Okay. To me, that was a big hit for the prosecution because I'm thinking of the angle where he knew more than an actor. He hired Hannah. He has some responsibility there. He's responsible for all of the errors that are going on the set because of the people that he hires, and he knows the rules and regulations. He had more knowledge than just an actor, okay, in regards to what should or should not be done. So I thought it was gonna, they were limping into trial anyway, okay, but they did such a bang up job in the beginning, and I can't really. I mean, it was boring, it was slow, but the way they laid out on the foundation, they were like ahead. And then this, before Friday, I actually thought they were going to actually pull it out. Like even without the producer angle, I thought that they were actually going to be able to convince a jury that there was some accountability that needed to be taken here, that a reasonable person wouldn't be lying about pulling that trigger. I really thought that's the way it was going to go, but no, there's no need. I really feel for Carrie Morrissey. Her reputation is taking a huge hit here. She does have her whole department backing her up. She's got the DA sticking up for her, saying she did what she could to try to salvage it. But at this point, they cannot refile because on that day, Judge Mary Marlowe Sumner dismissed that state's case against Alec Baldwin with prejudice, meaning prosecutors cannot refile the charges against this actor. He's free of this case completely. Now, before I go a little further, I'm going to look in the chat real quick to see if you have questions so far, because this gets involved. That sounds like the shut up square. When for Carrie Morrissey, yes. I wish somebody had given her the shut up square, if that's what you mean. It may become a civil suit. Yes. Yes. The family has already settled with the producers of the film. And when I say the family, I mean her husband, Helena Hutchins' husband, and representing her son, actually made a deal already. And there are numerous civil suits already in play. There is the MedTech. There are several civil suits that have been settled already with the producers of the show, and some of them they're still fighting. Alec Baldwin himself tried to sue a few people, but that got tossed. There's quite a few civil suits. I'm not tracking them all individually, but a lot of people were traumatized. There are a lot of what we would call victims of this accident. Of course, the most horrendous is that Helena Hutchins lost her life. But, the other assistant producer was shot. We also had in criminal charges. We had another director actually served time and did his sentence already. He made a plea deal with them, and he said he was guilty. He was the one who handed the gun to Alec, and he took responsibility and accountability well before Hannah Gutierrez's trial, the armorer's trial, which she was sentenced to 18 months, and she is appealing. And we're going to get to that too, because this gets more, there's always more, right? Let me just check. Yep. No, they can actually process for civil. It only affects the criminal charges. The prosecutors for the state of New Mexico cannot bring charges against Alec Baldwin for this case. It is such a depressing day, Couch. I'm sorry. Yeah, I am. I agree, Mousy. There's so much trouble going on in the courts right now. It was bad coordination, I would say, Couch, instead of bad lawyering. In the court, there was excellent lawyering going on both sides. I mean, it was slow and tedious, but the actual facts of the case were coming forward in my opinion, excellent in that way. And I heard a lot of Emily Day Baker was praising Orlando Johnson in even Carrie Morrissey in the beginning, about the layout of the case, which was a tough case to lay out. She was impressed, and so was I. And I was happy to see that other people were seeing what I was seeing, and there was quite a few others who said the same thing. I think it was a bad organization. It was a bad follow up, Rocket Couch. It was bad procedure that killed this case. Absolutely bad procedure that killed this case. Okay. Unfortunately, does that mean that Helena Hutchins gets justice? Well, we do have the armorer whose chief responsibility it was to make sure that there was no live ammunition on the set. She's responsible for the guns and the training of the actors and all. But is it justice? All we can say is that, well, her husband and son have settled with them. They have money coming in for the son in different stages as he gets older. They have received some justice for her. But actually, her family, her parents and siblings are suing civilly now because they want more justice. And I don't blame them. They have lost a loved one, and we have to keep that in line too. But we need to be fair. I think the judge made the right call. The judge had no choice at this point. You do see that, right? It's a Brady violation. I mean, like a Brady means, the rule, was Brady versus Maryland, or I forget which state it was, but anyway, it's in regards to all evidence being to both parties always, and anything that the state discovers in regards to the charges against someone needs to be turned over to the defense to use how they see fit, or to investigate, or to test themselves in regards to defending the charged accused. Okay, that's just the way it is. You don't get to choose what is actually meaningful and what isn't. Like, that's up to the defense. If you're aware of it and you have it, just because you're not going to use it doesn't mean you don't have to tell them about it. Well, they're holding Carrie Morrissey's feet to the fire in regards to that, in regards to the Brady hearing, which she demanded be public. And that was another issue that Orlando Johnson had, was that she didn't think the public should hear about it shouldn't be public, the Brady hearing, that should be discussed amongst the lawyers in the decision made. I think it should have been a little bit public, since we did hear all about it in the news already. Like, why wouldn't we get to see the results of the hearing? He filed the motion and made the claim and accused the prosecution of withholding evidence. And so I think it was best to let us all see it play out so we knew exactly what it was. It wasn't anything that would have freed Alec Baldwin, in my estimation. It was more bullets, more live ammunition that could have deflected on the fact on was it a setup or not. But it didn't have anything to do with whether or not he pulled that trigger and whether or not, how that live ammunition got in there. But the source of the live ammunition would come under question now. There's more additional information, and they did look very much like the evidence they already had on file. And yet Carrie Morrison had made statements that from the pictures that she saw and everything, and then when she finally saw it, that it didn't have anything to do with it. Yeah, Brady versus Maryland. Thank you, Liz. It's very much. Thank you for helping me clarify that. Our checks and balances do seem to be taking a hit right now, Mousy, but I have faith that, especially when they're willing to take a hit, and just the judge is doing the right thing. We have more than just the prosecution and the defense here. We always have a judge too, and they are the balance between the defense and the prosecution to make sure it's fair on all sides. Okay. So, at least that happened there. All right. But what does this do for Hannah Gutierrez, who's in appeal right now? Well, there's this dramatic dismissal could actually get her released from state prison, according to some legal experts. Now, she is in appeal. She'll get a new trial. Okay, she's been asking for one. She wants to get released on bail while she awaits that. We'll see. But remember, her trial was going on when the evidence came to life. So it wasn't that the prosecution withheld it from anybody at that point. We have to see what the process is and what her attorneys are going to do. Her attorney is already working on it. There's been some public statements on it. We have to actually see what's going to happen here. But it's going to be quite interesting what happens to the results of Henny Gutierrez's trial and conviction through the appeal process, whether she'll get a new trial, because frankly, that evidence was brought to light during her trial. Okay. And still was not turned over to her defense. And if it was any evidence that that live ammunition came from another source besides her, actually, they were trying to say it came from her pouch. Oh, that's really pertinent to her defense team more so than it is Alec Baldwin's. I'm sure you know where I'm going with that. But we're going to have to see. I mean, everybody's up in the air about this. Some say it's not going to get her released, but it may get her a new trial. Some say it really depends on when the evidence gets scrutinized. But the failure in the system is really one that we have to take note of. Now, there's been complaints about how the investigation was conducted. There were some head police officials who made glaring statements in regards to how the prosecution and law enforcement were working together on this. The multiple, like the lead investigator, all the calls with Seth Kinney and the guy who owns PDQ, like taking all their information from them and being led around by the nose instead of looking everywhere. That was the accusation. I don't actually think that that's what was going on, but is it fair to poke holes at the investigation? That's exactly what a defense's job is to do. The defense attorneys are always going to do that, and unfortunately, they left a lot here to be desired. Granted, it was a chaotic scene. It was a big set. There was like people everywhere. By the time they got there, everything was like they were trying to scramble to get all the evidence secured. It was a nightmare from the start. I do believe that most of the officers involved did the absolute best that they could. But this is what happens when it finally gets to a court of law. In the balance of defense and prosecution, the plaintiff, the state versus the accused, in order for justice to be served, it's got to be fair and balanced, and the rules need to be obeyed. And that Brady one is a big one. Okay, and I was surprised. I was absolutely shocked. All right, let me look for some questions before we go on to the next one. Yeah, let me take this down. And thank you so much for the sticker, Mousy. It was really cute, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I say bad lawyering followed by good lawyering. Lawyering doesn't only happen in a courtroom. This is right. One of the things that I linked for you in the description below is the interview that Orlando Johnson did, the district attorney that stepped down. And I want you guys, take a moment to listen to it and listen to her reasoning. That's our justice system doing the right thing when she spoke in regards to what she did. She's not pointing fingers at who did what. She just said, this happened and this has got to be the result of it. It's just, there's no other way around it. It doesn't matter why it happened. It doesn't matter what you think about the evidence. It doesn't matter why the procedure failed. It doesn't matter how the procedure failed. At that point, all you know is the procedure failed. And the only thing to rectify it is to dismiss, because you can't go forward with a trial after that. There's no way to rectify what happened. And that is what the judge said. There is no way to rectify what has happened here. She was hella annoyed. Oh my gosh. She had a face during most of this trial where you could tell when you were like pushing her button, she was just like, But when she stepped down from that bench, put on those gloves and opened up that evidence bag, that was a moment. I've never seen the judge do that. That was a moment I never thought I'd see. The judge went in and handled the evidence herself and said, I'm sorry. This looks just like the evidence you already submitted. How could you say it's not related? Like she was myth. Like she looked at it and was like, what? Like, yeah. And I gotta say, like Carrie Morrissey looked a little surprised at what that evidence actually looked like too. She said she had only seen a picture of it prior, and this was the first time she actually laid eyes on it. And that's a problem in itself that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. But I'm sure you know where I'm going with that. That to me was a problem right there. She had never even laid eyes on it. So she said. And yet she was making judgments on whether it was relevant to the defense or not. Which, you know, she doesn't get to do. Yes, we do need rainbows with all the darkness. Thank you, Mousy. And hello, Deep State. Good to see you. All right.
Good morning.
Okay, the next thing that I have for you. Oh, hold on. Buckle up, people. Here we go. Let's just talk about Andrew Tate just a little bit, okay? This was like a brief little video. I'll play it for a couple seconds for you of the Tate brothers arriving, for their travel restriction appeal hearing. You know that back in July on the 5th, they actually won their motion to actually travel throughout the EU. And they were lifting the restrictions and they were going to be able to travel. Not crazy. They still have to report every 48 hours to their local police station where they live, like right next to, in Romania, right next to where they live. So they couldn't really go very far because every 48 hours they got to check in, right? But they were going to be able to cross the border and go around. And there was a lot of hoopla about it. They thought that this was a big mistake. So DCOT actually went forward and appealed to the higher court, and the higher court was holding a hearing today, actually. But this guy's voice, let me just show you, like, the information we get this is right from this Romanian journalist. And
How are you? How do you do?
Very good. How are you?
Me very fine. Today, again in the court, no?
Yeah. Yeah. Good. In court, out of court,
Every time.
in the girl, out the girl.
yeah, that was so necessary, Andrew. You're going into court, and that's what you're going to say. Yeah, he's so reformed, right, people? Did you hear what he said? Like, in court, out of court, in the girl, out the girl. Yeah. He's just winning hearts everywhere, isn't he? He's such a good guy. Hi. Was she? Yes. I don't even know if that matters anymore, like who appoints who. She's an excellent judge, actually. She was annoyed, and rightly so. Yeah. Thank you for the additional information for everybody, though, Liz. That's pretty cool. Yeah, thanks. So anyway, Andrew and Tristan had to go to court today on this appeal, and well, it didn't really go in their favor because the Bucharest Romanian government actually said that he'll no longer be able to leave Romania as they await travel because there would be a discarriage of judgment because he's a flight risk. Okay. And they also have new charges that are rumored to be coming forward. Okay. This is a high court of appeal, so this decision is final. However, their actual limitations for restriction are renewed every 60 days. You know, that every 48 hours they gotta, go to the local police and they're allowed to roam. That gets renewed every 60 days. So the reason that they actually expanded it was because they had petitioned the court for extra privileges. Now, they can still petition the court to go someplace for a certain event, but it needs the court's approval. And it's a process that they have to go through. So even though this appeal cannot be reappealed, they cannot reappeal this judgment. Once it got overturned, that's it. This is final. Currently, they cannot go anywhere except for Romania. They can't cross the border. They can no longer travel they didn't even get to, because once it went under appeal, they weren't allowed to go anywhere until the appeal was settled, because DCOT immediately appealed that this was too high a risk based on things that they had said and things like that. Although DCOT didn't really speak very strongly during the hearing. I saw some, comments on Twitter about that. that they were disappointed they didn't really bash them that much. Mostly the Tate brothers got to speak a lot. And this doesn't apply to just the Tate brothers. It applies to their co-conspirators too. Their co-defendants, the two women, also cannot leave Romania. No one involved in this case right now, the four charged defendants cannot leave Romania at all unless they get special privilege, permission by the court, and they have to petition for it and wait for approval. Closing statement from Andrew Tate was like, I waited 2 months to go back to work. Okay, the only thing that he's not allowed to do as far as work is the stuff he was actually charged for. He can't do the OnlyFans or the stuff like that. He can't do the webcam business, any of the illegal businesses that he was charged against. But his regular work, as far as his, Hustler University stuff, I mean, he's able to do that. Like, nobody was stopping him from doing that. He said he has 2 3-year-old girls. I am a man and I have to pay for my family. My only goal is to get back to my business. You know what he's keeping him from his legitimate business? I want to stress that. No parties, just work. I respect every court. I have no criminal record. I have not committed any crimes. I believe that justice will be done until the end. Nothing will prevent me from appearing before the court. I don't need restrictions. I want to come to court to prove my innocence. Okay. There have been plenty of statements about him celebrating wanting to leave Romania and that he would run. Okay. And we all saw that in previous episodes that I have done. Also, I just want to address the no criminal record part. He has said this and lied to the court because he does have a criminal record in the UK. Yes, he does. And that's going to come to light. And I don't know why they think they can say whatever they want in Romania and the rest of the world is not going to know about it. But they do. And I don't think the court's going to appreciate being snowed. But anyway, he doesn't have a criminal record in Romania. Let's be clear. He does not have, a criminal record in Romania. But he's got one apparently in the UK. There are some charges that had gone through and some settlement things. And, I have to research it more before I say exactly what they were. But that is what I read thoroughly today from 3 different sources. So I just want to check those facts before I say what. But apparently it is alleged that there are crimes that were committed and he was charged with in the UK. All right. Anyway, this is actually the filing, on the civil code. It was contested and the conclusion and rejudging was done today. And the higher court rejects as unfounding the request of the defendants, Tate Emery Andrew and Tate Tristan, regarding the replacement of the obligation not to leave the territory of Romania with the obligation not to leave that limit of the European Union except with the prior approval of the judge of a preliminary chamber of the court or the court of judgment. And that, they paid the interpretation fee and all of that stuff. But basically, they have overturned the previous ruling to allow them free. Yep, Emery and Christian. Oh, Christian. Yep. Extracts from Tristan's statement in the court. This case is based on false accusations. My little girl doesn't know what her father looks like. I would like to go and visit her. It would be very easy to leave the country, but I will not do that because I promised to return. If you are asking to be free to roam around, why do you keep mentioning to the court how easy it would be to leave the country? Like, please don't do that. Why do you think this got overturned? Yeah. Anyway, on top of that, we had other news from the UK tax evasion case. Andrew Tate is actually on trial right now in the UK for over $3 billion, $3 million rather, $3.6 million in unpaid income tax at both brothers' online businesses that they didn't bother to pay. And today in the court, they entered evidence of an online video of Tate bragging of never paying taxes when he lived in England. That was used as evidence against him in civil court case that was adjourned on Tuesday for 2 months. Now, they're taking their summer break. They will be back in trial in September. The police are filing civilly just to get the money because he is actually, this is a slam dunk. It's been going on for I think 2 days now. He's obviously not there. He can present evidence, whatever. They don't really actually need him. He can submit stuff. to the court there. They can do the video and with his attorneys. But basically, they're presenting it to the court to get him to cough up the money so that they can get a share of those assets that are seized, I see. Or to actually start seizing assets that may be located there in the UK. There are other civil cases that are going on in the UK right now. There are the 4 victims who are actually suing civilly along the same lines of what's going on in Romania in regards to what was done with them. And there's also the Florida cases that actually Andrew Tate is trying to sue 2 of those victims. One of them, it's been tossed out already as ridiculous. The other one has actually secured her anonymity and has won quite a few things against him already. And we're just waiting. I do believe that one's going to get dismissed also, but we'll see. It hasn't yet. But not a good week or actual couple weeks for Andrew Tate. They started on a high thinking they were going to be like leaving Romania, and then the brakes got put on and they had to wait. And well, you know, I can't say I'm not a little bit happy that he went so far high up thinking it's going his way just to be pulled right back down to reality that he's going to have to be accountable for some of this stuff that he's been doing. Not a good guy. You know, not one of my favorite people to talk about either. But there you go. I'm going to check for some of the questions in the chat first, and then we're going to go on for the next one. Hey, Beck. Still wimpy. Yes, whatever the name is, right? I know, Mrs. Cassandra, right? Like, yep. Mark never paid tax in the UK and bragged about it on audio. And if this is any indication on what the Romanian trial is going to be like when they have all that audio of him admitting training these girls to do what he does, actually selling videos in Hustler University on how to start a webcam business, how to take control of the girls, what you got to do to convince them to do stuff. Like if they actually get to play all of those videos, you know, the evidence that Andrew Tate says doesn't exist that was like piled up on the table in Romania. Yeah. Can you imagine? Like that's going to be lit. But in the UK, like they played that tape and it's a done deal. Andrew Tate himself admitted to never paying tax in the UK. And they can prove income. And they just did. He's sunk. There's nothing he can even do about it. Yep. To brag about it publicly on the internet. Exactly, Mrs. Cassandra. Like, dumb. There is no trial date, Liz, yet in Romania. Oh, the docket is pretty well behind. They also take a break. I don't expect to hear anything for a while yet on the date. I was hoping like September, October, but we'll see. We'll see. We're definitely going to keep following this. This one's tough. I mean, we do have a bunch of people on Twitter and on the internet that are in Romania that are working with journalists and people in the court to try to get the information out. But the records are actually sealed. I mean, the Tate was successful in that. He kind of read the writing in the wall with everybody getting all the information, but he can't stop the journalists in Romania from disclosing what they hear publicly in a trial that they're allowed to attend. So there's that. But as far as official documents, it's pretty hard to get them. We do get the court's reporting, as you saw there. I can confirm what happened based on actual from the court website, the results of hearings for the appeals court and for the regular court. Okay. Yep. Yeah, they could be stuck. They're already stuck there for quite a few years, Liz. Yep. Have we said hi to Mark yet? No, we haven't. Mark, I don't have record here, but I will say hi. Oh, hi, Mark. I have missed you. It is good to see you. Self-incriminating for sure, Rocket Couch. Like this guy, he just can't keep his mouth shut. He just can't. He just cannot. He just cannot. So, okay. Give me a moment to take a sip, and we got 2 more. We're going to go next in a minute. As soon as I take this sip of coffee, we're going to head on to Leah Remini in Scientology. We haven't talked about the Scientology cases in a little bit, but there's been a little movement on this one that I want to talk about and just do a reminder on, you know, as we just get up to speed just a little bit on that. Again, I want to remind you, links to all of this and the backing source information, especially on Tate and on Alec Baldwin. All of that's linked below. Okay. And I recommend, like I said, checking out some of the videos of the statements. There's one there in regards to Judge Marlowe's actual Sumner's actual opinion on when she gave her ruling, and why she did what she did, and what law and precedent she was actually listening. For those of you that are interested in that, like I am, you know. Exactly, Mark. I feel the same way. Like, I'm here without him. You could hang, couldn't you? Like, come on. now you're making me sad. I'm like sad bear. He says no record and you want me to stay around? Of course I do. I used to be enough. Like, what happened? What happened, Mark? Like I thought, like, I used to be enough. Like, I don't know, Hey, Brody, hold on to your thetans. Yes, exactly. Because we're going in. We're gonna go in with Scientology. For sure. For sure. I just jested more, I just, 9 minutes left in the hour. How fast can you read? I do more than an hour on Tuesday nights. I'm gonna go an hour and a half if that's okay, Rocky. Yeah. Because I started an hour late because I needed to get some stuff. Needed to get my ducks in a row, Yeah, I know, Mrs. Cassandra. It's not your fault though. Like, Wrecker is a charmer with that voice. What can you say? Like, what can I say? Like, he just wins hearts everywhere. Yeah. He's well, what can I say? Anyway, shall we go on? Like, one more sip. Hold on. I'm doing the rudest YouTube thing. I do apologize, but I'm just feeling a little bit dry here. Oh, does it say it's supposed to be an hour? I'm sorry. Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. I try, Rocket, but I can't always do it. I do shoot for an hour. You're right. But this is going to be at least an hour and a half. And some of them are up to 2 hours. Like last Tuesday was 2 hours easy, wasn't it? Like, crazy. And that was only on one case, Nick Carter. All right. The lovely Leah Remini has sued Scientology, okay, for all of the abuse, harassment that she has like put up with since she left Scientology years ago. She's been an advocate. She did her series. We all know this, right? Like, and since that lawsuit got pulled, there was the anti-slap, right? And there was the ruling by Judge Hammond, okay, that the defamation part of her lawsuit, well, it doesn't really make a lot of sense when you've got two very high profile public figures. And this is my language, not the judges. Okay, this is just my interpretation of his ruling from back then. I will be linking all of the playlists below. I do see that they didn't save when I linked them. I do have to go back and link them, but there is a Leah Remini versus Scientology playlist, and on that I do discuss Judge Hammond's order where he dismissed a part of her lawsuit that had to do with the defamation. In his reasoning, in layman terms, was you got these two big, high profile celebrity status people. You got Scientology, David Miscavige, you got Leah Remini, and they're slinging mud at each other on a daily basis. Like, let's not doubt it. We all saw it. Leah was not quiet about what she said about Scientology, and Scientology was brutal in the things that they accused her of. And it was tit for tat, back and forth. And the judge said reasonably, I'm not going to get into a war of words with you guys when you both did it. Like, it does, like, but there's other stuff here. And he left intact all the harassment, all of the accusations of them interfering with her contracts and her ability to work, interfering with contract torsion, all of that is still in. Okay, so it wasn't really a big win for Scientology. And, they were bragging it was such a loss for Leah that her whole lawsuit got gutted. Well, that's because there was numerous pages of the proof of what they said about her. So the defamation part was quite large. But it doesn't mean the case isn't solid. And there's not a lot still here. As actually the criminal, come on, defamation is not, You usually just sue to get somebody to say you're sorry or to win some money, right? But to actually prove monetarily that they interfered with her ability to work as an actress, that's a big thing. And even more so is what we really want to see, some movement on Scientology being held to task for the harassment that they do to individuals, not just famous people like Leah Remini, but actual ex-Scientologists or current Scientologists even. The things that they do to coerce, manipulate, and just bring down anyone they feel is opposed to them. It's horrendous. And we need to see some movement in that. So that part of the case is all still there. However, both parties have appealed that judgment for different reasons. But because of that appeal, we're probably not going to see any movement in this for at least a year or so, because the appeals have to be handled first, because both parties have currently agreed to stay further action on the case until the appeals are settled. So that's the first piece of news on that. Okay, just a reminder about Judge Hammond. Also, a reminder that little David Miscavige, decided to show up all of a sudden, and he actually got the judge removed because he finally showed up and exercised his right for choice of judge or to oppose a judge. And he decided after this ruling, it pissed him off enough that he just wanted him gone. So yes, Leah Remini now has a fourth judge on this case. A fourth one. Yep. And it is this judge, Judge Holly Fuji. I think it's Fuji. I'm going to say Fuji until I get corrected. She's got a really great reputation. Here is some information on her from the Law Institute. You can research her, but once this gets going again, well, she is actually looking at the stay and has agreed that it should be stayed while the appeal goes on. No sense in doing all of this stuff if things are going to get overturned anyway. But that's not the only news, okay? Because even though we have a new judge, we also have a new attorney for Leah Remini. The attorney is Daniel Sanders, okay? And some of you may not recognize that name, but you may know the name of one of the biggest cases that he did. He actually helped put Pellegrino in jail, and he was the Hollywood fixer. For example, he was the guy who wiretapped Nicole Kidman during the proceedings with Tom Cruise for divorce. He has got him for illegal wiretapping. He helped with all of that. He is an ex-prosecutor. He's big news. And this is very, very, very good for Leah Remini. There's also some stuff linked for him below in the description too, under Leah Remini. Where is the... Oh, this is like so good. But anyway, he's big news, and that's like a big movement for her. He is a very aggressive attorney. His mainstay is, what is it he says? He loves to support David when going after Goliath. He likes to go after the big guys, the big corporations, the ones that people are afraid to go against. The fact that he wants to take on the fight with Scientology, well, that's just excellent. That is excellent news for Leah Remini. She has firmed up her team quite solidly with him, because remember, she was using the same attorneys as Jane Doe 1 in her lawsuits there, and there was a conflict of interest, and one of the attorneys from Jane Doe's side had to leave, and then one on Leah Remini's side then backed out. So it got a little messy there because of having the same defendant in the cases. The plaintiffs were going after Scientology in the research center, and David Miscavige himself. They were using the same process servers. They were having the same issues. They're very close, and they were working good together. It is good to pool your resources when you're going against some big organization like Scientology. I don't blame them for sharing information and actually using the same resources, but you need separate attorneys. There's too many conflicts. There's too many other things going on as far as scheduling. There are different courtrooms, there are different judges. You need different attorneys. I was pleased to read this in regards to Daniel Saunders joining Leah Remini's team. I think this is a good move. I think this is going to be a little tougher for Scientology to deal with. Now, Scientology has a slew of lawyers, and we have seen them in action. They don't, I would say like a lot of their stuff is little sneaky, shady, like sneaky stuff. Like David Miscavige waiting till the last minute to get judges tossed off cases, even in the Jane Doe. Like last minute, just because he doesn't like something. Avoiding service forever, but then decides to accept service when he wants to complain about something, walks in and overturns everything. It was a nightmare. He doesn't really play by the same rules but then again, he thinks he's above it all, doesn't he? So like, Scientology, it's a whole different mindset, which I'm not going to put myself in because like, I'll never get out of it. Like, I don't want to understand where they're coming from. And I don't say that often, do that, guys? Like, I'm always the one who wants to see both sides of it, like try to understand where the other side's coming from and all of this. Not when it comes to Scientology. Like, that's some scary stuff, I don't know. It's not exactly it's not exactly a mindset I want to get into. Every time I get into the Scientology stuff, I get very, very frustrated. Very, very frustrated with how they just get away with what they're getting away. I have a great guest with me. Oh, you mean on the 2 hours? Yes, I did. Kelly is fantastic. I'm sorry. I was looking at the chat there. Mrs. Cassandra, you threw me for a minute, but I get it, I'll tell you. But yes, I love doing stuff with Kelly. I can't wait till the podcast that I did with her recently comes out. I will do more with her, with Nick Carter, as it progresses. I love doing stuff with her in regards to Marilyn Manson. That we've been following all of those cases from the start. You see how long things take. I've been out here for years, and Manson was one of the first cases, and it's still going on. It's still all of that is still going on. Yes, Rocket says that for tonight, everyone just pretend that the square says 90 minutes. Listen, if I do less than a 20-minute exit, we're golden, right? Right? Couch? I mean, there you go. There you go. Okay. Does anybody have any questions in regards to Leah Remini's Scientology suit? This is a civil suit. It's got multiple points. We had put out the information. There's a playlist on it on the channel. Leah Remini herself actually disperses some of the filings, in regards to her complaint and everything. And Tony Ortega usually does a lot of updates in regards to the court and what goes on in regards to who's been assigned the information into the new assignment of a judge, the fourth judge in this case, Judge Fuji, who I'm waiting to read her first rulings in her first stuff. But like I said, there's a stay right now. A mutual, like both parties have decided it would be a good idea to wait for the appeals. And it probably is. This gives them time, especially Leah with her new attorney, Daniel Sanders, to actually get together how they're going to start dismembering and going after Scientology for what they have done. The harassment stuff is hard to prove. Remember, Scientology always uses like a third party, the members. It's not like David Miscavige is out there doing it himself, right? It's really hard when you're going against an organization to try to prove membership and try to get that, what you call the spider web of connections all done. You got to be real careful to dot all your I's and cross all your T's, Oh, thank you, Couch. Thank you so much. Yeah. We're going to be keeping you busy, Couch, because we brought back a lot. We brought back a rotation of series for Friday night. We should make a Friday night bingo card, like if you have the time. I'm not going to spend your time for you, of course, but those shows are wild. Like those are the What the F, which I'm so excited about. That was so fun to do on Friday. It really was. There's no way this would ever happen. Like, I'm happy that you would donate $50. She'll says she would donate $50 USA if you can do a stream for less than 20 minutes, and it must be about legal cases. You might be sorry you said that. Does it have to be a live stream? Because I already got like videos in the work that are less than 5 minutes. Seriously, like a little brief update on something with a comment. Boom. It's a whole new thing I've been working on. Like you could be broke like really quick. But they're not live. I could never, ever, ever, and I'll say that right now. Like, don't even send me the $50 because I'll just be giving it back to you. There's no way I could do a live for less than 20 minutes, unless it was an accident, like that time we tried to go live with the live trial and everything messed up, and it was only like 10 minutes and I had to start a new stream. But that doesn't count, right? Oh, it must be live? Okay. You must be a live stream, but only once. I don't know if I could not do it. Sure. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, I really don't think I could do it. I don't. I mean, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I'll think. I don't think I can't do it. Like, come on, guys. You know I can't do it, right? Like, you all are laughing in the chat. I know. Beck, I see you. I'll see you because I know you're like, Bear. Like, what? Like, she can't even say hello in 20 minutes. Like, her opening was 25, 30 minutes. Like, what's going? Like, there's no way. She takes 20 minutes to say goodbye. When she ends this, there's no way she could do a whole stream in 20 minutes. There's no way. You're right. You're all right. You know, I own it too. Like, I own it. I know it's true. Scientology is notorious for using everyday tactic known to me. Yeah, every delay tactic. Exactly. Like, delay. Throw the paper at the court. Kill a whole forest of trees. Like, you know, I'm telling you, rodent, you called it. Scientology is the worst. Delay. They got lawyers just filing motions that mean nothing on top of nothing on top of nothing. It is true, Beck. Like, you know me. Like, you guys know me. There's no way. And Rocket is taking suggestions for the Friday bingo card. So if you got any, like, go ahead and put them in the chat. Or if you're a member, go ahead and put them in the bingo room for him. You know. But damn. Yeah, Mousy, I see you with the winky, like with the smiley there too. Like, I get it. There's no way. There is no way. She'll, yeah, I know. She said, could you? I don't think, yeah, I don't think you could either. But, you know, I know for sure I could not. You know, it's never going to happen. That's a $50 that's going to stay in your pocket and you're going to be able to use it well because it ain't ever coming over here. There's no way I could ever just do a 20 minutes on true crime. Although during the Depp trial, I do believe I did several videos that were less than 20 minutes about certain evidence issues, but they were videos. Never was I live for never. Nope. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I know, Beck. Like, how do you figure out what to talk? Like, I want, like, the people that they do the streams for 3 or 4 hours. How do you figure out what to talk about? I have such a struggle, even when we're doing a live trial, and even though I'm watching things that are going out, just keeping it going for so long, like talking in between and everything like that. I guess you have to depend on like who you're with and just topics of conversation, and just go with the flow. I mean, I'm known for the 2-hour stream. I mean, I hit live and it's very often way too long. You know, like I could have ended it sooner, but we just get carried away. Like, my Sunday stream is always 2 hours plus, like 2 hours plus, because Juju and we're talking about nothing, literally nothing. We're just flying by the seat of our pants. Yeah. I think you need an activity or an active chat. That's a very good point. You know. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. And you know what, Beck, that's it. Like, if I had a script, if I did a pre-written script and I just came up here and lived it, maybe I could. But I don't even think I could do that, you know. Oh, Mark, okay, stroking the bear. Claire, with you, it could never be too long. Oh, Mark, so nice to have you back. Thank you. Okay, you guys, mark that stroke the bear bingo square. Like, Mark, you did that well. Thank you. All right. If you guys don't have any more questions in regards to this one, I think I'm going to get ready to do the last one of the night. And I don't even know if you guys still want to talk about this one. But there was some stuff. There was definitely some stuff. And I think we need to talk about it because we did talk about it when it happened. But, there's always a but, right? By the way, I did want to share in regards to Leah. I'm going to share this. This is it's down listed below, but those you just need an email address to get into Tony Ortega, the Underground Bay, the article he did on the new lawyer Daniel Sanders in regards to what he did in regards to Pelicano and like his reputation. But also, if you just search Daniel Saunders or use one of the links that I put below, you will find his great reputation in what he has done in the past. He's a previous prosecutor, like I said. He's done some awesome work going against the bigger giants of, malfeasance out here. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he does for Leah in her upcoming case. And like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a delay. It's going to be a bit of a delay because of waiting on the appeals after the anti-SLAPP ruling from Judge Heyman, which got rid of some of the defamation and things like that. So, All right. The next one, yes, we're going to talk about Karen Reed again. Yeah, don't groan too loud. Like I know some of you were like, happy that we don't have to see her face right now, but there's been some movement. Like, not only did we have a mistrial, okay, the jury came back that they could not, after being sent several times back by the judge, they still said that they could not come to an agreement on the charges. And so a mistrial was declared, and the prosecution immediately came back out and said they were going to retry. I mean, immediately came out. Like, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. This is not news, okay? But what is news, okay? What is news is that, well, the defense has made several motions saying that 4 jurors had come forward, okay? Let me just pull this over. Prosecutors say they're going to retry her, right? Okay. But she was facing second-degree murder and 2 other charges for allegedly striking John O'Keefe with her SUV and then leaving the scene as she dropped him off at a fellow officer's house after a night of drinking. We all know that, right? We all saw all of this, the shenanigans that went on. Okay, but now there's going to be a hearing in July 22nd because defense filed a motion to dismiss the second-degree murder and leaving the scene of an accident after 4 jurors, they say 4 jurors came forward and said that there was a consensus that she was not guilty of murder and she was not guilty of striking him on purpose and leaving the scene of a crime. Like, they're saying that, they're saying that there is enough there from what they've heard from the jurors that they want the whole case tossed. They say because the judge did not actually ask or poll the jury. They did not ask the defense or the prosecution if they had questions. They did not say which charges or whatever. In other words, they're accusing Judge Beverly of not going into that she just abruptly declared the mistrial without first questioning the jurors about where they stood on each charge or giving prosecution and defense a chance to raise questions. However, proper procedure is they could have at any time asked to poll the jury and asked to interview the jury. Okay. Often, if a court requires more information before invoking like double jeopardy, which is they're accusing here, that because the judge didn't do that, for her to go forward with another trial would be to be tried on something that supposedly jurors have said she's not guilty of, in where they are talking specifically about the murder charge. They say that they weren't going to convict her. This isn't all of the jury. This is just a few jurors that, well, there is some talk back and forth on whether or not Alan Jackson actually was appropriate in discussing all of this with these jurors without the court and without prosecution. But But I digress. The motion has been filed to actually dismiss the charges based on that Judge Beverly Cannon had not done her job and declared a mistrial too quickly and did not give defense the opportunity to question. However, when declaring the mistrial at that time, the defense could have objected and they could have actually started other proceedings, which I know they weren't, like, they didn't. A mistrial meant she was going to leave, so they didn't do it. Okay. And they know that the jury could have been polled at the time to find out if they were in agreement with things. Okay. But they didn't. Okay. She really closed things down pretty quickly. Okay. So now they're saying, like, should there be a post-verdict inquiry, which is like, before invoking double jeopardy, Reed's team said the judge should hold a post-verdict inquiry to confirm that the jurors unanimously found her not guilty on the 2 counts that they are saying the 4 jurors are speaking of. Okay. If Cannon does agree to hold such a hearing, there's a real chance that prosecutors could be barred from retrying Reed for murder and leaving a deadly accident scene, which are the 2 charges that they say, these 4 jurors say, that everyone was unanimous in saying she was not guilty of. So that's an issue. If it is shown the jury did unanimously agree to acquit, according to a law professor at Northeastern University, from an article that I read, they said that it would be legally inappropriate to retry her. I mean, this is just gets weird. We thought that the wild craziness was done, right? Like with the Karen Reed. It's never going to be done until we figured it out. Prosecutors also asked Friday for the court to deny the defense's request, describing the defense's motion as an unsubstantiated but sensational post-trial claim. Well, where have we heard that before? Unsubstantiated and sensationalism has been the defense's go-to from the get-go before the trial even started. Like, I don't even have to. Those of you that followed it know what I'm talking about. The stuff that has happened all over the internet, the interference with people. I mean, we've got YouTubers putting out jurors' names, okay, trying to harass witnesses. Like, it's insane out there in regards to the Karen Reed trial. I wasn't, it is going to be a new trial. Like, I'm definitely going to follow it. I know that because this is crazy. But prosecution has said, contrary to defendant's claims, throughout the jury deliberations, the defendant was given a full opportunity to be heard. The jury's communications to the court explicitly indicated an impasse on all charges, and the court carefully considered alternatives before declaring a mistrial. But the jury did not reach any verdicts, partial or otherwise. In other words, the note that the prosecution is claiming that the note that was passed to the judge that the jury gave did not indicate that they said not guilty on anything. They said that they were unable to come to a conclusion. They had not filled anything out. So he's right on that end of it. Just because some jurors are saying, like, oh, no, this is what happened in the deliberation room. Like, we believe this and we believe that. It's only 4 out of all of them. Okay. And I just don't know. For the life of me, I would have to flip a coin to decide which way this is going to go. But on July 22nd, we could find out. Okay. Because that's when we're going to have a hearing to consider next steps. There's also still the federal investigation on how law enforcement handled O'Keefe's death. That still continues. In Reed's defense, claims that 4 jurors indicate the jury found her not guilty on several of the charges. And we have to decide whether there's a double jeopardy claim here. Okay. This is just lit. Still. Karen Reed is going to be a thing we're talking about, like, for quite a while. Okay. I groaned my entire groan quota for the month. Claire owes me more groan. And Mousy too. Look, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, but that was big news, right? That was new. It was new, at least. Okay. Anyway, yeah. I agree, Mark. It's been a while since Beck's been live. Yeah. Mousy has a bunch of groans left over. She's going to send you some, Couch. There you go. Okay. It was a very long trial to end up like this, Liz. I agree. And it was quite the circus, was it not? Hey, Juju. Good to see you. It was, Liz, quite the circus. I could not, like, every day I was shaking my head. I shook my head so much with the Karen Reed trial. I actually think it almost fell off a few times. Like, my neck was sore and I was like lilting to one side. It was whoa, whoa, whoa. Juju, you know what I'm talking about here. You know what I'm talking about. Like, Karen Reed. But I'm finishing up. I'm definitely finishing up on this. I hope you go back and catch the replay because there's some stuff there I think you'd be interested in. I do. Yep. You gave up on Karen Reed on day 3, just watching it. I know the circus out on the media circus was absolutely insane. In even the stuff that like certain YouTubers and all were doing, like was absolutely. I could not believe it. LawTube lost their mind. Like it was insanity. Oh, you're saving the extra groans for your jokes there, Rodent? Good. I have declared Monday to be Bad Joke Monday and punny wordplay joke Monday, like in my server. Like I'm definitely looking forward to those kind of things on the internet on Mondays, for sure. Yeah, I think so. There's some stuff. Yeah, there's a little bit of stuff, Juju, that you might find interesting. We covered everything that happened with Alec Baldwin, and I know you were up on that because you and I have already talked. But I am so like enamored with how Orlando Johnson handled herself, in that actually, the judge was right in that ruling. I really do. I hope that if they do get a new trial, it's not going to be as long. I do hope that if they, I do think that there deserves to be a new trial. I think there was a lot of stuff messed up in this trial. I want them to get another crack at it. If the jury actually did not come to any conclusion on just because this is what the defense is saying doesn't mean this is actually what happened. We only have a couple jurors saying it. And that is also up to interpretation of the defense to actually twist what they're saying to what they want to represent, just the same as the prosecution would. Now, that wasn't really too big a swipe at the defense. Not that I'm a big fan of Alan Jackson. I'm not. I don't recognize lawyering when he does his thing. To me, it's like he's the head of a big PR firm. And I don't appreciate that kind of lawyering, but that's just me. I'm not a lawyer. Who am I to judge? Like, he can do his thing. He's the defense. They're going to do whatever they're going to do, but I want to actually see it in black and white before I believe this. And I think he can make all the claims he wants in a motion, but he's going to have to prove it. And it is up to whether or not the judge is going to allow that post-inquiry hearing. And we're going to hear from the jurors, or they're going to have it in private because, deliberations with the jury are private and not for the public. I think the defense opening on, do you mean on the Alec Baldwin trial? Because I actually think the prosecution did a bang up job proving it, and I was kind of disappointed it didn't get to go. But I also think that the defense was very entertaining in the Reed case in regards to their opening statements. It did make you want to look at things. They did their job in regards to making you want to look at the evidence a little closer and to look for all the holes in the case. And that is exactly what happened. That nobody could take that away from them. They did a bang up job there with that. Yeah. Yeah, you meant on the Reed trial. Yeah, I did correct myself after when I realized when I saw your other comment that that's what you're talking about. But on the Baldwin case, if you get to see it was very tedious going, but they actually laid it out really good. And one of the things I talked about is about them bringing the gun manufacturer from Italy, flying them over to explain that that gun could not go off if you didn't pull the trigger. There's just no way. There's no way. Yeah. And that was a slam dunk on for them. However, I think justice, as far as how justice needs to go, which is sometimes unfair to victims, sometimes unfair to the defense, or the prosecution. But the way justice was served this time is by holding to the law. And if Brady is violated, that's what happens. Tossed. Yeah, I think he was toast. This was that's why he was crying, I think, with such relief at the end, because they did do a good job of nailing it. They actually did, you know. Did they mess? I know, Juju. Go back and watch everything I say. We could talk later about it. But on that, if there's no more questions, I'm actually gonna wrap up. I think, people. This has been great for me. I get to get these 4 caught up. If you, again, as always, if you have questions in regards to any of the ones we discussed tonight, or any of them on the roster, or things in general in regards to true crime, don't forget to hit the back of the video. I do like the comments, and nobody's been commenting lately. Throw me a question here and there. I like to research. I need something to do. Keep me out of trouble, people. But don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And if you like this, and you think anybody you know would like this, to have the discussions and to be fair and reasonable, and just look at the facts and try to look at both sides, and still be allowed to voice your opinions, whatever they may be. Don't forget to share it with them. And hopefully we'll get some new subscribers and some new people to talk with about this. Not that I don't love my little special crowd here, because I do. Every single one of you. You make this worth it for me, and I'm glad to be here to do it. It is my hobby, and I enjoy it. And I'm glad I found a little bunch that likes it too. So on that, I'm going to hit the outro. And I have one thing to say that you didn't hear because you weren't here in the beginning, Juju, and for all of you, baby reindeer. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. What a rabbit hole. What a rabbit hole. Well, anyway, we're going to get ready to go into that one, okay, in some other cases next Tuesday. In the meantime, Friday, I have a panel with the Utopians. We're going to be interviewing Godless Granny. It's going to be great. I will see you guys at 8 o'clock on the Utopians. I'll be putting that on my community tab. And in the meantime, then Sunday, we will have Bear and B and a bunch of nothing. Absolutely nothing. The best that we can. And then we'll be back to the regular Friday shows on next Friday. I don't know. We're going to do the rotation. I will talk to Mrs. C. We will surprise you with which one we're doing on Friday. But we had a lot of fun on the last one Friday. We did What the F, and it was so good to bring it back. Yes, Juju, absolutely. That's what I would recommend. Start with the series. Yes, so you know what we're talking about. And yup, it was that the series itself was a rabbit hole. It was an emotional ride. It really was. It really it did a lot. There was a lot of things getting addressed on there, and it was done very well. I actually think so. Everybody, have a great night. I'm out of here. Look, I did it in less than 20 minutes, too. I think I should get a cookie. I'm going to go get myself a cookie. Y'all have a great night. And I will see you hopefully at the Utopians on Friday. I'll see you around the streets. Don't forget, Shenanigans is going to be live on Thursday. And I believe Mousy is on Wednesday. And also After Dark, I think she does some true crime, a little short true crime thing on Wednesday, too. I do believe that Mousy sometimes has her live going on then. But anyway, see you in the chats here and there. Have a good one, everybody. And we'll be back soon.